Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Monday Motivation. I'm your host, Daniel Krakowski, joined as always by the Godfather
of
Goran
Soul,
Vasovic.
our podcast.
Yeah.
What's going on, Daniel? What's going on, everybody?
And we are also joined today by the prodigy,
Andre Anderson.
Just throwing his own name out there. I love it.
Andre Anderson. That we somehow misspelled his name for the for sale sign, but we still
We got it right.
Andrew Blanderson.
no. What was it?
Andre Andresen. We spent 5 to 10 minutes getting that little accent over the E. And
Right. And he was over my shoulder making sure that I don't miss anything, and somehow we both missed it because we're like, hey, we need to add that accent or stress mark above the E.
The perfect 26.5 degrees.
And today we're talking about the importance of detail.
Yes. Spell checking, proofreading.
Yeah, so
Are we?
yeah,
Okay,
I know that I struggle. That's something that I'm more of a broad strokes guy.
Me too.
I think you can.
I am as well.
Well, I can
Yeah.
tell. We can tell.
Right. So I'm very good at thinking conceptually.
Mm-hmm.
I disagree. I think, Goran, you do have some components where you do think like that, but you also are the one to be proofreading and checking out the design of every single piece of information that we make put together. And there's a lot of do it again.
Right. Yeah. And then I spelled Anderson wrong.
Right. But, I mean, that's just a new fun nickname for Andre, so everybody wins.
Yeah, and he's got some cool signs that, with misspelling on it.
Yeah, just put them up in your room.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, the importance of detail, I think, cannot be understated.
Understated or overlooked.
Right. There's, especially in this business, obviously we can look at it in the grand scheme of things in terms of, hey, a lot of things fall through the cracks if you're not focused on the final detail. I actually had an interesting closing today where I got a call about 10 p.m. last night, or a text message from the client just like, hey, by the way, can I just bring a check for closing tomorrow? And I'm like, what? No, you needed to have wired the money in already. So no problem.
Cashier's check?
That's what we ended up having to do.
Okay.
It defied the title company's policy because typically checks above $15,000, they need the funds actually wired, so it's not reversible.
Right.
But they're willing to accommodate and kind of trust us, and it all worked out. But from my perspective, it was a failure on my part not to go over every single part of the transaction. And I think especially when you're so heavily engaged in what you're doing, it's very easy to forget, the old adage is it's very easy to forget that everyone else doesn't have the same knowledge set that you do.
Right. And I think also getting in the habit of double checking your work or having another set of eyes look at your stuff. I do that all the time, for important stuff, especially documentation, PAs, contracts, because you can read it about 4 or 5 times and still miss the same error. Mm-hmm. And especially within our industry, being real estate professionals and agents, having the right things in the PA could cost or will save you money or could cost you money. And I remember that one instance in the beginning of Daniel Krakowski's career had to do with certain, I believe, appliances.
Anyway.
Yeah. Right.
But yes, no. So there are definitely things that have been overlooked in the past.
Right.
It's very, very easy to do. And just changing one word can change the technical and legal definition of what you're doing. So in our industry, it's really, really important to focus on those types of specifics. Now, there's also a component that goes into it where if maybe that isn't your strong suit, you might as well build that contingency into your overall budget for the year, because I think I probably budget $2,000 or $3,000 myself for errors and omissions. Right. I don't have errors and omissions insurance. We do as a company, of course, but me personally, I write about that much in checks just on some oversight. So,
right.
Fortunately,
it's only been small. small deals, but
and that's where you tend to make the mistakes.
Right, exactly. But at the same time, if you overlook something big, it costs you thousands of dollars, and you definitely want to make sure that you're covered, and of course necessary insurances. But again, I can't stress enough that don't just do it yourself and read over it a couple times. You need to really just rely on somebody else, either within your company, partner, significant other, to just look things over, and I think it's super valuable.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely have my significant other proofread a lot of my business emails. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you're up, it's 11 o'clock at night.
You're just rushing.
You've just been hammering all day, and you're tired, and you kind of get into that weird, where you get in that weird cognitive space where it's just like a dull hum kind of in the background, and you're like rereading the same thing. I miss a lot of like 3-letter words and stuff. Like you leave out does, you leave out the word if, at. Mm-hmm. You just kind of are
you're writing information versus YOUs.
Yeah.
There's only so many times you can double check too. So sometimes if it's important, I'll be like, yeah, I've read this like 5 times. If it's there, whatever, I'll live with it. But
right. Well, I think a good point is, of course, have someone else double check what you're doing, because when we reread our own work, we reread it assuming our own competency, which a lot of times is
can be compromised.
Right. So definitely always have someone else do it.
What I was going to ask Andre, what some of the things that you do in order to
mitigate that?
Yeah, mitigate those or self-check. And from your previous career in logistics, I'm sure that was a big deal too, when it came to paperwork, especially when you're transporting stuff internationally.
Yeah.
So what are some of the best practices that you could share with us and anyone that's listening?
Yeah, sure. So of course, you have other people check. I would always have probably a superior check if it was my old job, and just make sure that I have everything right. There's a lot of like legal documentation that sometimes like once in every 20 years something will come up, and it's like to have an item be shipped into the country only for like an event and then shipped out, but it still needs like legal documentation to back it up. So how I do that and translating into real estate, I'll have like maybe some like a close friend that I trust, or we'll always go to Daniel as well. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'll have Daniel as well look over some stuff, or just get like some additional perspective on situations too that might lead into having some type of mistake in the PA or whatever it is.
And it doesn't always have to be like, I don't think it's necessarily an indication of lack of knowledge on your part to reach out and ask someone for it, because it doesn't have to be your superior. It's just someone that you
it could be a peer,
respect their
anybody,
opinion. Because how often do I have you come in and read stuff?
Yeah, not that often.
Maybe but I do, right?
Oh yeah, a couple of times.
Like,
yeah.
I don't ask really anyone else to proofread anything else that I do. So I definitely,
it doesn't even have to relate to paperwork. It could be a potential deal or a strategy,
or more enjoyably, little style, panache, the way you dress,
right?
Put yourself together.
Exactly.
Yep.
I think it's not so much seeking the ultimate or the right answer. It's maybe just getting somebody else's perspective. And what I said about a specific deal, like I could bring a deal to you and say, hey, this is what I was thinking, and Daniel would be like, what about this? And I'm like, shit, I never even thought about that. Maybe I should roll with that, and then all of a sudden you get better ideas or different ideas that you didn't even think of. So it's definitely important to go into it with kind of, hey, this is going to be a benefit. It's not going to expose that I'm somehow dumb or weak at any particular thing.
Definitely. Sure. But what I really liked and why I wanted to talk about this is you're getting everything ready for the Instagram story.
Yep.
And we're trying to record this podcast. We've had 4 or 5 false starts because Goran was on there and he's like, nope, this song isn't good enough. It's not right. This is not the right song.
I'm gramming. You had a phone call. Then all of a sudden it was like a phone call turned into a come into the office. Client is on speakerphone. Andre's nowhere to be found. It's
just AWOL.
Right. So the point being, though, it's you really show that focus and attention to detail and that extra bit of style.
Yep.
And especially when you're looking and considering marketing, wow, that's so important.
Yeah.
Right? How many people who are listening have gotten some sort of flyer from a real estate agent in the past? And what do they all look like? I think I mean, we can all fill in the blank, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What's the picture of?
It's their the agent themselves, and
If there's another
a
picture,
house.
what's that? Yep.
Yep,
It's
that's
just
it.
some big fat mug in a house.
Yep. And it says, "Hey, I sold a bunch of homes. Let me sell your home."
1,200 last year.
Yeah. Highest producer between this block and this block.
Let me also right, and then there's usually some indication of, hey, I have this. I'm in the gold circle at my company, and we're like, we don't know what that means. Cool, man.
Or what is that? There's not a benefit. It's all about,
Right.
Hey, here's everything about me.
So there is some value, right? There's some value in marketing of just being there and showing up. But I think the detail is where it stands out, where I think we want to create a flyer. And I currently have one out right now that's in minor circulation.
Yep.
It's currently actually being put together right now.
Yep.
But that one fits kind of that category. It's got a picture of me on it, but it also has like a very specific purpose. We're looking to buy a home. We're not looking to be your agent on it, and it's these 150 homes that we're sending it to because we want those specific 150
Yeah, very
homes.
specific, very targeted.
So we got it with the detail, but I think we can also take that and look at it and apply in a broad sense, hit people with a general type of solicitation, marketing campaign, but by putting the proper details in and really caring about them and differentiating, it's going to be a much more effective campaign. So instead of just some doofy, everyone uses the same filter, it's a picture of me waving and smiling and shaking hands with someone over a
Kissing babies.
Yeah, a table, right? Like a meeting room or whatever the case may be. Go for some style.